Welcome to Take 5, an inventory series where we take 5 minutes to explore current events, industry trends, and all the other things that make healthcare inventory the beautiful, bizarre, unbelievable thing that it is. I'm Alex Diamond, and I grabbed this week Shane Pratt, an executive in inventory management, and I asked him, how is it that the governor of California claims he's going to acquire massive amounts of personal protective equipment when ordinary hospitals all across the country and the world can't find any?
Well, I think the interesting thing about what they're doing there is first, most of the legislature didn't know that he actually pulled the trigger on that, which I find really fascinating. What's shaking out with these governors right now is that they're getting mixed signals as to who is in charge of trying to bring the PPE in. And so instead of waiting for the federal government or even providers, they're going out and trying to procure this themselves, and they're going direct to the source. I just read recently the Illinois governor had set up private flights from China into Illinois to deliver PPE, and they're really not telling anybody. You're seeing these coalitions of states form. You're seeing federal government try to do procurement, seeing the individual providers trying to procure this product, and they're trying every possible avenue to get a hold of it. You got to be creative. You've got to think outside the box in terms of where you're normally going to your GPO, your distributor for product, and you're going to have to think about, how do I go direct to manufacturers in cases where I haven't done that typically before. The Illinois governor was looking at chartering planes direct. We've even looked at chartering planes direct to try to help source some PPE. And then some of the things we're being asked to consider is, cargo on passenger planes. Z5 is not typically a place where people have come for PPE product, but we're being asked by a lot of our good partners who are, they're very good health systems that are out there, and they're looking for every possible opportunity they can get. Diversifying is important. The challenge that we're seeing is that a lot of the manufacturers are asking for large amounts of money up front, and so that's obviously a dangerous game you can play with your capital. And so I think you've got to try to, as best you can, guarantee that you would, get a refund if you're not getting what you're expecting. The other thing you want to make sure you're doing is staying on top of what you bought. So if you're making this massive capital outlay for this PPE product and you're bringing it in, you need to know where it's at. You need to know what your burn rates are. And then you also need to be aware that because of the rolling nature of the pandemic, so it's hitting these highly dense urban areas the hardest first, there's a good chance that it rolls through the country. So if you start to see areas where they're easing off the social distancing, their cases are leveling out, there may be PPE there that you can source, very quickly rather than waiting for something to be shipped from overseas, because people are stockpiling it. But at the same time, it could be a bit of a hot potato type of experience at the end with all this PPE product where all the outlay came from. You certainly don't want to hold on to it and have massive stockpiles of it expire at some point in the future, especially when it potentially was in a market where you overpaid for what you typically would for that product. So be on the lookout and be creative and keep an open mind, and don't just, think about your traditional sources. You will have to go to some other ones, and again, diversifying your bets and making sure that you're working with people that you have good relationships with is totally a critical piece of the strategy here.
That's this week's 5 minutes. Join us next time on Take 5 when we discuss the pitfalls of sourcing in uncertain times. Take 5 is a production of Z5 Inventory. To see all of our sources and resources for this episode and more, visit z5inventory.com. That's the letter Z, the number 5, and the word inventory.com.